Hello, this is your internet friend, Robert Gadarian, and today we are talking about objects yet again. Um, we're going to be adding methods to objects. So, as discussed, to date, we have objects that are just a collection of data. But the definition from week 2 was objects are data and methods to work with that data. So, we're going to add that second part today. And we saw one already. We've seen init, which is the dunder method that is magically called when we say our class name and then call it as a function. And that is where we can initialize, hence init, our data, and then we can have some data in it to start working with, which is great. It's really helpful. It has to have the self parameter first. And that was, of course, saying, hey, me, I want to set some data on this thing, which is good. Oh, the error messages we don't is terrifying. Let's take a little look at that. So this is our lecture from last time. It still runs and it's great. If I take away self, it's going to say that I don't have enough arguments. 3 positional arguments, 4 were given. And here you're saying, yeah, I gave you 3 and that's what I want. And I have 3 here. But we need to have self because that is automatically even, passed in. So whatever your object is passed in as the first argument always. Python constant, that's just what it is. It's the only, well, that's not true. I think Ruby does something similar, but it's unusual for a programming language to do that. So we just need to add more defs. We've written methods, but now we have one extra piece of information, and that is self. All of our, and these are called instance methods. Instead of just loose methods that are running around, those are really functions. A method is attached to an object. So this method has self first. So I can have this math object, and I can set A and B. And inside of my constructor, I could even check to make sure that these are integers or at least numeric types. I could actually do that. Well, we're not going to. That kind of error handling is not part of this course. Take Comp 1020, we talk about it, and it's actually kind of fantastic. And we take it to the next level in software engineering, 3350. You should take that too. They're great. And then we could have add. Now, this add method doesn't need to be passed anything. It already knows about A and B. It knows all about itself. And you'll hear me saying objects know all about themselves. It can't hide anything from itself. It knows that A and B exist, and that it can just add them and return them. So this is kind of a funny looking method that these come out of nowhere, but you can see that this self matches up with this self. I could actually name this self to be me or this one or whatever. It is just a variable name. And then I have access to this object's data. So string.split, you can imagine what it says. It would say split, it's a self, and then it would treat itself as some kind of array and look for spaces and return a list of all of the bits and bobs. And you can start imagining what that would even look like. There is another magic method, stir. If we call print on an object, toString is called in Java. I will call this method that. That's the only reason I mentioned this. I will call this to a toString method. And this is magically called when you print an object. Right now, if I fix this code here, it'll say comp10 blah, but if I take away this course code, here I'll maybe just add main lecture slot at 0xff. That is very exciting. That's a memory address or a hash code. Very exciting. Not super helpful to us. So let's see it. Let's actually run this. I'm going to do this on my university class. So I already have it here, so it just makes perfect sense. So I can say def underscore because it's also a dunder thing, self. And I can say I have to return a string. Return, hello, my name is blah, and I am taught by blah. And I run off the screen. That's okay. Blah. I'm going to say blah dash blah. So it'll be course name dash AO2. And I'm taught by blah. And dot format. This is getting very long. Format self dot course code. Ah, I hit enter. Typing in huge font is hard. Self dot lecture slot. I gotta have to scroll back. Slot course code slot name. And I didn't actually track prof. I should probably do that. Self dot prof is equal to prof. Otherwise, I pass it that and then I don't store it. It's gone. I don't know about it. Self dot I already forgot lecture slot. Slot name. Slot name. Self dot prof. Run it. And now it says that I don't have a good format string. That's probably true. It's right here. Boom. Hello, my name is blah, and I'm taught by some guy. And that is much better than main, lecture slot at object. Like, that is not useful. This is actually useful. And it's kind of pretty. And I was already kind of foreshadowing that in the last lecture. So, now, let's say that I want to add some students to this class. So I want that encapsulated in here. So would I pass my students in to my constructor? No, that doesn't make sense. I don't have students at the beginning. But what I would have is self.students is an empty list. Self.maxStudents. Oh, that's not this could be a constant, but I'm going to make it a variable because you can actually change them. I've changed it. I believe I changed it for this course this year. Students is equal to 130. I think that's how many we have. And then I can enroll a student. So I can say def enroll. And then I can say self and then a student name. And we'll just do this by name because why not? I could have a student object. So first I'd say if the length of students, self.students, is greater than or equal to, the greater than or equal to, this is very scary. I could say strictly equal to, but there's a chance that weird things have happened. And let me tell you, once people get involved in the program, things happen. It's greater than self.maxStudents. Then I'm going to say print, we're full. And then we're not going to enroll them. Else, this is a beautiful use of else, we can enroll them. One L or two. I apologize for any students that care about that. Students.append. That feels like a really long line of code now. Self.students gets me to the variable, and then I know this is a list, I can call .append on it. And I can append this student. And in my toString, I can actually print out my list of students now. I would actually have to start building a string. I'm going to call this a header now. Is equal to that. And then class list is equal to an empty string. And I'm going to build it up saying for student in students, self.students. Because again, pointing back to me, this is my list of students. Class list is equal to class list. I believe I can use plus equals, but I'm terrified to. Plus this student. And I'm going to add a new line because that feels good to me. Plus /n. That has to be a string. And Spider's trying to help me, and it's doing a terrible job. Now I can say return header plus a new line plus my class list. So there we go. So I can run this. It should do things. So let's enroll some students. My class dot enroll with one L apparently, and I'm going to enroll Captain America. Captain America. Cool. And then my class dot enroll, and we can do the Hulk. I believe you can get the pop called the Hulk. Oh dear, Hulk. I don't type that very often. Now if I run this, I'm going to print it again afterwards. I should actually build up my class list, and it should print out with it because it's all cohesive and beautiful. And if it's full, I won't add any more students. And that is all logic that is kept within this object. Everything that I need to know here, like I don't want the idea of a full class list to just float around and have to check it everywhere. That belongs to this object. That class should know how big it is, how many students are allowed, and if it can enroll. And that is that class's problem. It's not something that you just be loose in your program and you have to search for. If you're thinking, oh, I need to revisit my enrollment maximum stuff, there should be one place where that is, and that should be within your object. Now, can a dictionary do this? No, it can't. It's not possible in a dictionary. This is where objects become awesome. And I'm going to put a space here because that's ugly. I really like this object. Here, hold on. All right. Examples, some only positive. So I want to actually track. Hold on. I changed this example. Refresh. Stats keeper. So create an object that keeps the sum total and tracks number of even and odds. So this is interesting because I could actually maintain this whole list of data, but hypothetically, I'm getting so much data that it will make my program too big, and I don't want to store that all in memory. So I'm just going to have a stats keeper where it keeps a total and then counts some things for me. So I'm going to jump over to my code. I have a new program. I'm going to call it summer.py. And I'm going to say class summer is that. Now, I want some variables. I'm going to do this all in my init because that's where I like them to be. If you really like putting them on the outside, so be it. Do I need to pass anything to my constructor? No. I'm just going to create it, and then I'm going to initialize everything. So self.odds is equal to nothing. Self.evens also equal to nothing. And self.total is also, guess what? A whole lot of nothing. Def, add, append, add. Oh, hold on. I need to make this a real dunder method. That would be hard to debug. Def, add data. Self and datum, as we all know, that is the singular of data, and you don't really have to know that. If, I guess I can add it to my total right away, self.total plus equals datum. Then if datum is odd, %2 is equal to 0. Self.odds, that's even. If you're divisible by 0, you're even. That is the definition of it. Else, perfect use for else, datum, mod 2. Oh, wait, hold on. Self.odds plus equals 1. Great. Do I want to print? Yeah, I want to print out all my stats if somebody calls print on this. Def __ stir self. I don't have to pass anything else. I'm going to say return. Let me build it up. Stats. I'm going to make it a multi-line. No, I don't like multi-lines. Every time I try, it makes me angry. I'm going to show you something cool. You can have like a format string and stick it up here. Stats block. Hold on, that 1, 2, 3. So now I can say stats, cool, and then I'm gonna say total. Maybe I'll call it sum because that's clearer. And this is going to be arguably a float, but I'll leave it to be nothing. And number of odds is something, and number of evens. Evens is also something. Now I can actually use this and say blah.format because it's just a string and I'm calling .format on a string object. It doesn't matter if I'm creating the string object right here or if I'm have it over here and I'm just referencing it, which is, I think, really compelling. So this is self.total, comma, and then you can start using flexible white space, odds, self.evens. Okay, I have written 25 lines of code and haven't tested it. That's a terrible idea. So I'm going to call it statser. Statser is equal to summer, and that's a function. So my statser, I'm going to add. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. Okay, statser dot add data. And you can see that's trying to help me, which is nice. I'm going to add 1, and then I'm going to print out. I can add 1 stats, and because I have my toString method underscore str__, this is going to print out in a pretty way and should say sum 1, odds 1, even 0. Seems legit. Let's do that a few more times. That's ugly. That's ugly. And that can go here, save, send it. They're all odd and they, boom, that works. Beautiful. What if I have a different statser? This is something I haven't proven to you, that it keeps its better stats. It keeps its memory to itself. So there can be different instantiations of the same object. Again, many different humans, many different statsers. And if I print out better stats, it is not going to touch the other one. I can print out statser again, and better stats has no data, and this is correct. If I print out just normal stats, it'll still have its stats in there, and they're untouched. I can even add for I in range 1 million. I don't know how many zeros that is. I don't care. I know how many 1 million is. I don't need to tell you to press it because I don't care. Better stats. Add data. Right, that's inconsistent. Add data, and I pass in datum. That's okay. Print statser. No, print better stats. Send it. Better stats is not defined. You do have to spell it correctly. In both places. Better's stats. Okay. Summer has no. I haven't passed an even number yet. That's funny. That's an interesting bug. There you go. Now my sum is huge, my odds or whatever, and then I can still print out my original statser after this, and it's untouched. They live in different places on the heap, and they are different stats collection objects. They do the same thing. They have the same method, but they're different. That's a nice object. So we do want everything in one place. All the logic and the data in one place. And then if there's any bugs with it, where do you look? In that one place. Can we have objects of objects? I've already kind of implied this. We could have a student object and put it into our lecture slot object. And we could have a list of objects within an object. There's nothing stopping us from doing that. There is no limitation to what code we can put inside of objects. This is just like an if statement. It feels like you shouldn't be able to do this inside a loop. You can. It feels like you shouldn't be able to do this inside an object. You can. It is just lines of code that you can put in there. So a human could have many pets. We could have a human object and then a bunch of pet objects. And you'd have a list of pet objects. And pets would have names and ages. And a human would have a walk function where you'd walk one of your pets, even if it's a cat, and that doesn't matter. It's all about how you describe it and how you put it together. So objects have methods that we've seen, and those methods work with our data. And that means that we don't have to pass those methods the data that they need, which is cool. Like string. The toString method, we pass it nothing. It knows about itself. Sorry, I left my own memes. Have a good day.